Okay, so this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS series. And in this video, we will look at the next service, that is the KMS, that is the Key Management Service. So before dive into the AWS console, so let's understand why we need this service and what is the use of the service like KMS. Okay, so KMS, like the full form of the KMS is the Key Management Service. Okay, so this is just the full form, not a definition. So first we understand like the encryption. So why we need the encryption? So nowadays like the data is very important. So we generally want wherever we store the data, so we want to encrypt the data so that we can protect it. So there are two types of encryption, basically encryption at rest and encryption in transit. Encryption at rest means when your data is at rest. Example, so you put or you store your data in your S3 bucket, right, in any S3 bucket, or maybe in any hard disk like EBS volume, or anywhere, or in any RDS instance. So data is at rest. Rest means you have already put your data somewhere and the data is now stable there. So at that time, right now the data is not encrypted, so we want to encrypt the data. All right, so one option is encryption at rest. The other option is encryption during transit means like when we are like move from one place to another, then we call it as a transit. So we have to do the encryption during transit. So this is in the first operation, encryption at rest, data is already there into the S3 bucket, right? And now we are doing the encryption, we are performing the encryption on top of the data. But what happened when we have the data in, let's suppose, in our AWS or EC2 instance, right? And from the EC2, we are sending the data to the S3 bucket. So from the EC2, when it is going to the S3 bucket, so in the middle, like there are chances like someone can snoop our data, right? So during the transit, we can encrypt the data. So that is the encryption during the transit. Like when the data is traveling, like moving from one place to another, like maybe from the EC2 to the like some EFS, maybe hard disk, or maybe into the S3 bucket. So during the transit, if we perform that kind of encryption, that is called an encryption during the transit. So we want the data to be encrypted all the time. So it means doesn't matter whether the data is at rest or doesn't matter whether the data is at rest, we have to make sure the data should be encrypted every time. So we know if we have to encrypt our data, like in the computer terminology, not in respect of the AWS terminology. So for the if we have to encrypt something, we have to need some keys, right? Public key, private key, kind of things, right? So we need some kind of keys. Okay. So now there are so KMS is a service which will manage your keys. KMS is a service, that is the key management service, is a service which is provided by the AWS. This will manage your keys, whether you generated your own keys or whether AWS generated the keys on behalf of you. So there is a one service from where you can manage your keys. Manage your keys means, let's suppose you have generated your keys and now you want to delete your keys, you want to disable your key, or you want to enable your keys. So you from that particular KMS service, from that particular console, you can do those kind of operation, like enable it, disable it, right? And if you want to create your own key, so you can create that, you can delete that, so many operations you can do this. So all those operations can perform using the KMS. So KMS is the key management. It's just a kind of a management service. Okay, at the back end, so many things will be happening, but it is just a kind of console where we can perform a little of operation, like enable the key, create the key, disable the keys, right? So what all option we have? So if we jump into the AWS console and search here KMS, so that is the key management service. So if you open it, so this is the key management service. So easily create your keys, control encryption across AWS and beyond, right? So on the left hand side, you could see three options, like AWS managed keys, customer managed key, and customer key stores, right? So AWS managed key means like AWS will generate the keys on behalf of you, right? So those are called the AWS managed keys. So like you have seen like a couple of keys here, right? So AWS managed keys are like AWS will generate the keys on behalf of you. So here we have the like for the SNS, light sail, EBS. So for the S3 as well, like we will see like just in like after a couple of minutes. So AW, so these keys like I have not generated. So whenever I am doing like maybe when I am performing any when I am using any AWS services, and there is a like maybe an option while doing the creation of the server, do you want to encrypt that data? And if I click on the encryption, automatically at the back end like this keys get generated. So I just choose the option as an encryption. So if I choose the option as encryption, right? So AWS has to encrypt on behalf of me. I just give the command and AWS has to like do like on behalf of me. So AWS will generate the keys. So that is the AWS managed key. So they have generated some key, they give some alias name, like the name of the key, and they generate some key ID, they generate some ARN, and they enable it. All right. And second is the customer managed key. So let's suppose you don't want to like use AWS managed key. You are like unsure what like on what logic they are generating the like you don't trust the AWS software, you don't trust their algorithm. So you can like create your own like managed key on your customer managed keys. All right. So that is totally in your control. You can delete anytime, you can do anything. And one is the customer key stores. So in this case, like AWS managed keys, whenever these get generated, so at the back end somewhere it is going to store, right? It is not the thing like it is just generated here. So it is just some like some a kind of a file in which like some entry is there. That is a key entry, like public key, private keys, some key, and that is going to store somewhere. All right. So again, like if you generate the customer managed key as well, so it will generate your key, but it is going to store somewhere at the back end, right? So where it is going to store, so there is a device called, like at the like AWS end, that is called as the HSM. It will going to, it is a kind of a, like a hard disk only, a kind of a disk only. It is going to store in that disk, and that disk is like very tamper proof. So if someone is going to tamper that, like like that will like the person will unable to tamper that. So if we go to here, so we have AWS KMS, that is the key management service. So AWS manages the encrypt keys for us. So there is a HSM. HSM is a kind of a, like a hardware on which at the back end we are going to store the keys. So when we like when the AWS generate the keys, automatically these keys at like store at the HSM. So these HSM a kind of a like a hardware like a security module, I think, like a hardware security module, or a kind of a disk only. So if you go to the Google, what I search, so cloud HSM, and you go to the images. So cloud HSM is a kind of a disk. See, this kind of a disk only is a kind of a device only. So if you cloud HSM, so if I open this, yeah, so it's a kind of a disk only. Like see the cloud HSM is a disk. So where we are like storing our like keys, right? So whenever like either AWS is generating the keys for us, or either we are generating the keys like from our end, it will automatically store at the cloud HSM for our security purpose. But that is the HSM which is not in our control. All right, we are not sure like on which hardware their HSM is running, how we can connect, how we can control. We have just the APIs from where we can connect, right? But we can create our own HSM. So they have provided the cloud, they have provided like one more service, that is the AWS Cloud HSM. So we can use that Cloud HSM and we can store our keys, whatever the keys we generated, we can store on our own HSM. Own HSM is like we have like generated from our end. So if you click on it, cloud HSM. So cloud HSM is like one of the different service. It is a managed hardware security module. So we can create our own cluster, and on that of the cluster we can like so once the cluster gets generated, so there is a like HSM client. So from that client we can connect with the cluster. So it's a different like service, it's a different topic. But on that hardware which is now we generated, and that is particularly private to us, right? No other keys, no other like user can like store their keys on our HSM. This is in our VPC, this is created by us only, right? But if we use KMS, yeah, if we use the KMS and we use the AWS managed keys, so these keys we are not sure on which HSM like it is being stored, because these are being stored on like on the HSM, which is like managed by the AWS only. And similarly for the customer managed key, if we just normally create the key, automatically it will store like on the HSM, but that HSM is managed by the AWS only. But we can decide also, like we can store our keys like on that. So you can store your KMS keys in a custom key store instead of the standard KMS key store, right? So custom key store are created using an AWS Cloud HSM cluster, right? So by default, it is like if you use the create the customer managed key, by default it will store into the standard KMS key store, like, right? But you can use the custom key store. So custom, how you can create the custom key store using the AWS Cloud HSM. So using this service, you can like hardware secure. This is a kind of a hardware only, a kind of a disk. So you can like create a cluster, a disk will be created, and then you can connect and you can store, right? So they provide control of the hardware security mode to generate the key, and you can like perform all the like operation. Okay, so first look out the like okay, let me close this. So let's first look at the AWS managed keys. So I said like there is, if you see AWS manage, if I click on the AWS managed key, there is no option to create, delete, right? There is no option. So AWS managed keys are created by the AWS, but how it is being created? So let's suppose if I go to the EC2, so these encryption is required to encrypt the data. So wherever the data is in the picture, they like, and we have the encryption facility at that time, like we can see, okay, these keys are coming to the picture. So if you go to the like elastic block store and go to the volumes, and if you generate a volume, so first thing is that we have to make sure whether if the we are generating the volume and we are using the free tier, whether like is it free or no. So we already see if we like use the, I think the, so magnetic and the GP2, so AWS free tier, and if you click on the first link and if you scroll down and search here elastic block store, so elastic block store, so elastic block store up to 30 GB is free, and like the general purpose GP and the magnetic is free, but like the otherwise like it is we have to pay, right? Any combination of a general purpose or magnetic, that is free, right? So we can like create our volume. So encryption, when the encryption come into the picture, when we have the data, otherwise there is no use of the encryption. What we can, well, what we will do just by simply generating the keys, all right? So if we create our volume, so the GP2 is free and the magnetic is free, but this IO is not free. So we are going to generate the GP2, and let's do the 1 GB only, all right? And so we are generating in the London region, so EU West 2, this is the zone, all right? So yeah, so now here we see the operation of the encryption. So EBS is a like a kind of a hard disk or a volume on which we can store the data. So wherever the data will come into the picture, there we will see the option of the encryption. So there you will see the option of the encryption. Now you have two options how you are going to encrypt your data, either using the AWS managed key, that is the keys which will be created by the AWS, or the key which is created by you, right? So if I use AWS, Amazon AWS encryption as an encryption solution. So if you click on this encrypt this volume, so it will ask me, okay, you want to encrypt this, but using which key you want to encrypt this. So if I select, I could see the default is AWS EBS, right? So this is not the thing which I have created. This is like automatically created by the AWS, like AWS/EBS. Right? So this is the default, and the same key, like let me open that. If I go to the key management service and go to the, so because in the customer managed key, like there is nothing, it's blank totally, and the AWS managed key is like AWS EBS. So it is going to use this key. So it is going to use this ARN, like as the status enabled, and it created on 20 like July 2. So maybe at that time I used the click on the encryption, and at the back end like it get created, right? So this is the policy. We can like see, okay, we can perform this kind of action on which resources it is. So all the we can see the like JSON policy. So this is being like created by the AWS, but on behalf of us. whenever I select encrypt this only then like this will created. Like maybe when I am doing the earlier hands-on, I on the 2nd of July, I use the encryption policy. Like I click on the encrypt and at the back end, this key automatically generated. But like we could see, like there are no like AWS S3. So if I click on it, like there is no AWS S3, so we will see like whether it will going to generate or not. But let's see the EBS volume. So if I click on it, so here it says okay, we can like use the AWS EBS, right? And also like first we have to see whether the AWS free tier, whether the KMS service is free or not. So if I scroll down, key management. So key management service is free tier and it always free. And but there is a limit. There is a limit of 20,000 free requests per month. Like whenever like we trying to do encrypt or decrypt, so we are using that particular KMS API. From the KMS we are going to the particular key and then we are reading the data. So that is a particular one request. So 20,000 requests per like per month is like free only. Okay, so we have like a click on the encrypt this volume. So we have like a few options, choosing a custom KMS key and the default. So right now we are using the default, which is created by the AWS, even like the syntax AWS/EBS. All right, and that's it. So we can create our volume. So now this volume is the encrypted volume. So it is like so you see encryption is encrypted. This volume is the encrypted volume and encrypted using this KMS key ID. And this the KMS like their name, I think, alias. All right, so it is going to create. So now like whatever the data we are going to store here, like it will be encrypted. So that's it. So like let's delete that volume. We don't need this volume, and delete the volume. Okay, now if I go to the S3, so S3 is also like a kind of a data storage device, right? So if I create a bucket, and let's create a bucket with the name Swanshu bucket and into the London region. And if I scroll down, hopefully there is an option of the encryption. So yeah, so default encryption is disabled. If I enable the encryption, so we have like a two option. We have the KMS, like S3 managed keys. No, we don't want to use the S3 managed keys. I want to use the AWS key management service. That is the key will going to store on our KMS. So AWS key management service. So it will generate this key AWS/S3. So right now you don't have to see like AWS/S3. So I am not generating this key. I am just using the AWS. I am giving the command to the AWS, and on the behalf of customer, AWS is generating the keys for us. All right. So AWS/S3, but we can use our own keys as well. But for the time being, use the AWS key. So this is the ARN. So this is the account number, and this is the name of the like and the region and the service name. So this is the ARN. So reduce encryption cost. Okay, that's it. So let's create a bucket. So now bucket is created. So now this is encrypted bucket. So whatever the like, I think the data will become into the picture, like it is going to like. So if I try to upload something, add files, recording configuration, destination details. New objects stored in this bucket are automatically encrypted because see, default encryption is enabled. Okay, permission, properties. So it means like whenever like anything will be going to store into this, so that is the server side encryption, that is fine. So by default, like everything is going to like is encrypted. So let's leave that and let's delete that bucket. So I have like created that, but if I refresh here, so if I refresh here, okay, I don't see like AWS slash like S3 here. but we have created our bucket and we're using the AWS S3. I think let's try to upload something. And try to upload, close. So now I have uploaded. So now I, because that is just the bucket, so the objects will get encrypted. So as soon as I uploaded that particular object, so now that object is encrypted. All right, and you could see automatically at the back end this key gets generated, AWS S3. So now my bucket data is encrypted using this key. So now this key is automatically generated. I have not generated that key, right? Not manually generated that key. I just use the service, and using the service, I have the option of encryption or use to enable the encryption or not, like enable the encryption. I use let's enable the encryption. As soon as I enable the encryption, AWS on behalf of like use the, so that is the AWS managed key. AWS is managing the keys. AWS is generating the keys. AWS is rotating the keys. AWS is storing on their like a hardware HSM, right? So let's delete that permanent delete. Okay, and let's delete the bucket as well. Delete, because we don't need this. Even we are used, like there is no cost, but like why should we unnecessary like consume the resources, right? So now, so we have the, this concept is clear. So for the like so many things like S3 we have C, EBS we have C. So wherever the data will come into the picture, at there, if you see the encryption, you automatically see here the keys get automatically generated. So we should know, if we use the encryption, what is happening at the back end. At the back end, and the keys are getting generated and using this name. So now we have the second option, customer managed keys. So customer managed keys, so like I want to like clear one thing. If I go to the KMS, and here you have the pricing option, right? If you click on the pricing option, so here it is mentioned each AWS KMS that you create in KMS, whatever the AWS is going to create, that will not going to cost us, but whatever the key which we create, that will cost us. So it is not free. That will cost us around dollar, like $1 per month. So we have to make sure, if we are using the free tier and we don't want to pay, don't play with these like customer managed keys, but we can still explore. And at the end, we will not like going to click on the create option, right? So generally before using the service now, so I'll like sometimes like, so here it is like something confusing, right? So if we go here like a key management service, sorry. So if you see here key management service, so this looks like something confusing because it's a free tier and it is always free and 20,000 requests per. So it just say 20,000 request is free, but creation is not free. So if something is not going to like clear from here, generally like whatever the service you are using, so here you will see some kind of pricing option. So better like if something is not clear, uh, at least going through that document, so that we can avoid unnecessary cost, right? So here we go to know that if we generate the uh, our key, if you generate the key, then it will cost $1 per month. So we are not going to generate the key, but still we will explore. So we have the customer managed keys option. So there is an option to create a key. Right now we don't have the key. So let's create a key. So either we use a symmetric key or like asymmetric key. Go to the advanced option. So here we like key or material or KMS, and we using the like single region or multi-region, single region. Next, so it is asking my key. So customer key. Right. If I go to the next, and who want to give you the administration, so just skip this. Or if you want to give the like allow key admission to delete this key. Next, like usage permission, who can use this, whether the EC2 role can use this, or the admin can use this, or we can use into the some other AWS account. So next, so here is the policy will be whatever the option we have selected, based upon that the policy get created, and you cannot change the key configuration once the key is created. So if you click on this finish, automatically but we are not going to finish, we are not going to create it, because it will cost like $1 per month. But you can create a key here. Like as soon as you create a key, you will able to see the key here. So now if you go to your create a bucket, and if you give any name, let's suppose, and if you scroll down, and here if you use the encryption, and if you use the AWS KMS, and if you choose your own AWS KMS key, so here right now it is empty. So as soon as you create your key, like even if I click on this, it will automatically go to the create option, like customer managed keys option. So as soon as you create your key, here you can automatically see your customer key. So from your key, that is you have created, from your key you can encrypt that key. Doesn't if you don't want to use the one which is created by the AWS, so you can create your own key, so that you can delete it, disable it, enable it, right? So that's it. And the other option is so let's go to let's cancel it. Other option is the custom key store. So I told you at the back end, whenever key is generating at the back end, it is going to store somewhere. So that device should be some security device, right? It doesn't mean that anyone can like uh, uh, use my keys or store on my keys, right? So it should be on some particular good device, right? So they are using the hardware security device. So if you don't want to use the standard KMS key store, like that is the KMS key store. See, this is the management console, that is the KMS key store. So you can use your own you can use our own key store, create a cluster and go ahead. Okay, so that's it. So that's the end of the video. It's just a small topic, a little bit of hands-on, a little bit of we should basically know, if we use the encryption option, what is happening at the back end. So we know at the back end some keys are going to generate here, and if we use this, okay, it will price, we have to pay the price of $1 per month, right? So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you.